Delighted now to be joined on the podcast by David Harte. And the big news, David, after 15 years in the Netherlands, you're moving back to Ireland, well to Belfast. So talk to me a small bit about this decision to, suppose, to come back to Ireland and to leave Campong behind you.
A very tough decision, but one that I know that's certainly best for family, for my wife and my two daughters. So that was ultimately the deciding factor and everything. And it was going to happen eventually, to be honest, Kieran. I've always said it to you when we've chatted to it before. Living over here has been fantastic and still is, but it's just not home. So we will be returning to the island of Ireland. It won't be to Cork, but it will be to Belfast. So we'll be up in Northern Ireland. But yeah, either way, excited to get back and see what the future holds.
When did you realise that you were going to move to Belfast? How fast did this all move?
I think it was always the plan. I had chatted with Lynn, my wife, and we were saying, where does the future actually, where does it lie for us? Is it in Ireland? Is it here in the Netherlands? Is it another foreign adventure to Australia or to America or something like that? And with everything going on in the world and with everything that we've realized over the 4 or 5 years of having kids and not having that close network around you of, grandparents or sisters or brothers or aunties or uncles, it was kind of just, it was time, it was just come to the stage. I think I was over in India for the Hockey India League, and I sent the club a message, the head of the board of the top hockey commission, being like, "Listen, I won't be an option for you guys next year," and that was pretty much it. It was a bit of a surreal moment, strange to do it over a WhatsApp message, but at the same time, a bit of a weight off the shoulders as well. Knowing that we had made the decision, and ultimately, as I said to you, just best thing to do for Lynn and for the girls moving forward.
Does it become very real then, David, the fact that you sent that message and almost like the decision has been made and you kind of said, this is my last season, like it became very definite then. Did that kind of make it become more real to you?
It's scary is probably the best word about it because, finally, yeah, making that decision to leave what's been home here for 15 years, everything I've ever known in the majority of my adult life, the big milestones that we've hit over here. Lynn moved over here in 2016. We got married here, bought our first house here, had our two girls here, all those kind of things, But it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been better than I ever could have ever imagined, wished for, hoped for. But all good things have to come to an end.
Like you mentioned there, like you had so many incredible life moments over in Utrecht. To say goodbye to that city, what's that going to be like?
Going to be tough. We were joking about it that we're going to try and see if we can throw a typical kind of going away bash. I'm saying it's not too much to be celebrating, but there is, it's celebrating those friendships, those relationships that we built up, how much the club and Kampong has meant to us as a family and me individually, of course, and personally, and just to celebrate our time here that we've had in Utrecht and go out with a bang, really. So we said, we're going to try and see when we can do that, when's best time to arrange something like that, and have a nice send off before returning to the Emerald Isle.
And the next chapter must be so exciting too, like for Lynn, for Georgia, and Ava, like to be closer to family. You're only up the road from West Cork now. It's only a couple of hours drive, so we'll probably see you more often back around this neck of the woods. But how excited are you for what that chapter holds? I suppose from a family point of view first, David.
Yeah, family is everything. Family comes first, and I think looking at having the opportunity to have, say, grandparents close by, to have my folks being able to come up from Cork now. Depends on who's driving, but I don't think it'll be that quick of a commute. But at the same time, I think the way we were looking at it is just it's exciting because I know my wife Lynn, when we were Christmas time when we were home in Belfast for December, even going to her old primary school to give Georgia maybe a bit of an introductory look to see like this could potentially be your primary school. So for her, a bit of the nostalgia, but also an exciting time knowing that, yeah, hopefully that Georgia and Ava eventually will be, following in their mother's footsteps. I think for myself, being able to, as you mentioned, up and down the road, maybe, a good 5 6 hour drive, if you want to say, call it that. And also get down to my family in Kerry, in Ballyhigh, where my auntie's still there, and where we spent most of our summertime. And such incredible memories from my childhood that I don't think I've actually been there in about 3 4 years. And I know, for example, that my daughters might not have ever been there. So there's things like that that are awfully exciting, to show family, get close to friends again, and just start building our life up again up in Belfast.
And what does the next stage of your hockey career look like moving back here to Ireland?
Very much the question that I'm trying to answer at the minute. I'm still loving my hockey, Kieran, to be honest with you. I still feel that I can still perform at an incredibly good level where I'm happy with. I still think, there's much more to give, although, maybe not for a prolonged period of time, but certainly a shorter kind of term. So right now, it's funny, since the news broke and since the news came out, there's been some interesting contacts and offers made from different clubs around Europe and closer to home. So just kind of weighing up options, seeing what's best and seeing what fits into family life and not the other way around. Goal is still to go back to the Hockey India League again the following January. They're making it even a shorter period of time. So instead of the 6 weeks away, it's now down to 24 days or something. For me to be able to go and do that would mean an awful lot for us from a financial stability point of view, but also still playing at the highest level. I think, the last game we played over there, he played in front of a full. I think they just built that stadium for the World Cup back in 2023. It's the biggest hockey stadium in the world, 25,000 people up in the rafters, everything, something that I'll certainly never forget and would definitely love to go back again. So, international wise, still also not entirely sure what it looks like, how it's clear or not. So I've kind of stepped away from the program now, and we'll have to get in touch again with the coaching staff and see what their plans would be as well moving forward.
Is that something that's still like kind of that chance to play with Ireland? Like, is it something you still want to do? Kind of like you said, you're trying to weigh up all your options now. But if the Ireland management team came calling and said, David, we want you back in, what would your initial reaction be, or your first reaction?
Would have to really have a good think about it, see is it feasible? It probably, to be honest, Kieran, it's probably easier, being in Ireland. Most of the trainings happen regionally based. They'll be up in Belfast, national camps up in Banbridge, perhaps. So it might actually be easier instead of having to be flying in and flying out from over here. So really have to have a look and see what's the best for family first, and then what's the best for myself, and see, of course, is it something that can be done and can be combined with work, or maybe still playing abroad, or the trying to juggle an awful lot of balls at the moment, and we'll eventually see kind of where it all kind of pans out.
To think where you are right now, to the young fella that sent that email 15 years ago to Dutch clubs to see if anyone would take a chance on a young West Cork fella. Kind of, can you think back to can you remember when you actually sent that email, David? Kind of, and then just waiting for the responses to come back in.
Pretty clearly, actually, I can remember even like pausing or hesitating to hit that kind of send button, being like, Jesus, sir, no one knows me. Are they going to take a chance? I think I can still remember the figure. I had played 52 times for Ireland at the time. I was really, really just willing to do anything to get over here. I think in part of the email, it also said, I'm willing to come over on a trial, show what I can do. If you need to contact the current Irish coach I had at the time, or the current high performance director of Irish hockey, just, to get a bit more background about me, not just as a player, but as a person, had it all, nicely compiled in that email. So, I chatted also recently with a Dutch kind of hockey.nl, one of the big kind of news suppliers here for hockey in the Hoofdklasse and here in the Netherlands. And I mentioned that as well, and I'll say it again, I still have that email for a purpose, for a reason, to try and remind myself. And it does remind me, where it all started, how the dream kind of came about, and still managing to live in that dream over here. It's very special, and it's something that I still look back on with immense pride of having the opportunity to come over here. But little did I know, 15 seasons later, that you'd still be doing it.
You've become a club legend in Kampong, like kind of all your kind of national titles over. I think it was the EHL in 2016, twice voted the best men's hockey goalkeeper in the world. And I see here one of your longtime teammates hailed you as the most important purchase ever by Kampong. Is in can you kind of realize or the impact that you've had on that club and the adventure that you've had with them as well?
No, definitely not. And it might be something I might realize, over a couple of pints of Guinness and the local golf club in a couple of years' time, when I've really kind of taken a step away from hockey and the dust has settled on the career and the sporting side of things. But like as I said to you, I'm just so fortunate, so proud to have been able to do it for as many years, to have done it with such incredible teammates, such talented individuals, but also incredible people, made friendships for life. Um, and the time with Kampong, yeah, well, the curtain's going to fall eventually. I think hopefully after another championship win in May sometime. Yeah, it's been surreal, and those kind of words said by close teammates, I mean, like that, are certainly some things that I will hold dear to me. But at the same time, not having an awful lot of time right now to think about it just yet, because we're still in mid flow in the second half of the season.
How do you approach the final months of the season? I know when we were talking after the Paris Olympics last year, you were telling me how you soaked up every moment, every sound, every smell. Like you took that elevator selfie leaving the Olympic Village when you were after the Irish hockey team's kind of adventure came to an end. Is it very much the same for you? I know very much there's David, the hockey player, who wants to win again, but do you really want to just kind of make memories of what the next few weeks and months will look like?
Think so, and I think I've been kind of consciously doing that for the last, period of time as well, because knowing that eventually it will come to an end. Playing in one of the most incredible club facilities in the world, surrounded by nine hockey pitches. When I still cycle in the back entrance on my way from my house here with my bike and stuff, it's still just, you see pitches as far as your eyes can see. You think there's close to almost 4,000 hockey players in total there between youth and the and senior section, and it's surreal. Coming from Cork Harlequins, where it all started for me up at the airport or roundabout there. We had one pitch at a time, and we were lucky enough to have that a sand-based pitch. But here, it's like the mecca of hockey, and I'm taking in every time I'm on the pitch now, every time I'm training with the lads, whether in the gym and also just enjoying those big kind of matches as well that are coming along our path to try and get into the top four for the playoffs. You're still playing on average in front of 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 people if you're lucky, and those moments are priceless. And especially when I can still see my two girls and my wife in the stands as well, which obviously makes it even more special.
Give us an update. So, David, where are we at in terms of the season and Campound's title aspirations?
We are after a tough and I would say not our greatest first half of the season. I think the bit of the disadvantage of having five Olympic gold medalists from that Dutch winning side in Paris, it meant that they obviously came back, of course, on a massive high, but as the time went on, also found a little bit of low, and I think rightfully so, not just physically but also mentally drained from everything that had happened during that summer period. And I think as 2024 as a whole, we came second in the Euro Hockey League, which is basically the Champions League of club hockey in Europe. And then we won the Dutch Championship, and then the guys go on and they win the Olympics in Paris. It's really hard to comprehend. So I can understand from that side of things. It kind of, yeah, it unsettled us as a group, but now we're slowly getting our way back into things. We're currently sitting in fourth, had a big match last weekend and got a good victory against kind of a rival competitor trying to get break into the top four as well, and kind of came away with a solid 4-1 victory. So I like to think we're kind of almost doing what we did last year, where we're not kind of showing all our hands in the first half of the season, and then we're trying to peak towards the important moments, because we have also the EHL quarterfinal coming up in April, hosted here in the Netherlands again, and then the playoffs will be hopefully the weekend, I believe, around the 17th or 18th of May. So we'll have to wait and see. But even before that, actually, on a special note, I have my folks coming over and a couple of close friends on the 11th of May. It'll be my last official regular home game for Kampong in the league, and it just happens to be against Stixa SCHC. It's the team where I started off in the Hoofdklasse 15 years ago.
There's a lovely symmetry to that, isn't there?
Yeah, and in Dutch expression, it means that the circle is one. That means obviously it's everything's just come full circle. So yeah, it's quite unique.
I think what's so impressive about your story in the Netherlands too, you really embraced the culture over there. I saw some interview you were on recently where you cycled to the studio, I think, for the TV interview, which was obviously in Dutch, and you're fluent in Dutch. We had a podcast chat before a couple of years ago, and there was a cat walking across the inside the cafe you were talking from. So even talk to me some
I
about
remember
the
that.
culture over there and how much you enjoy just kind of embracing yourself into culture and becoming just living like a Dutch person.
Anyone can probably, testify to this as well, that if you've lived abroad, it's always good at times to try put yourself out there. The advantage I had when I first moved over here, I moved over with Connor, and we played together for 2 seasons, so we were living together, playing together, and that was great. You always had, basically your best friend there the whole time. But it was only up until he left that you kind of started realizing you need to throw yourself out a little bit more. You need to try and reach out to people. You need to try and, just make those social connections, and not just having the teammates, but also friendships outside of the club setting. And I think the language side of things, still, even after all these years, my biggest mistake probably was never having done a lesson. I thought maybe after year one, year two, maybe I should have done them, but I never realized, Kieran, how long I was going to be staying over here. So I just started picking up some phrases, some words, I think a good thing for me was that in Kampong I had happened to be the only foreign player at times, basically for the last 10, 12 years, basically. So everything was done through Dutch in the change rooms, team talks, anything, from a kick up the ass from the coach, from your teammates, or a pat in the back. It was all through Dutch. And basically started really kind of submerging yourself into Dutch life, putting yourself out there, ordering things at cafes, restaurants, making mistakes. Maybe after a couple of beers, having a bit of Dutch courage and trying to go full pull and full kind of fluent. But yeah, it's been phenomenal, and the healthiness and the nice thing about everything, such an easy commute. It's so flat, jumping on your bike. Now taking my two girls, one in the front of the bike, one in the back of the bike, all those kind of things. Certainly things I'll definitely miss when I return to Ireland.
I know it's been an incredible adventure, and congratulations on all you've achieved, and best of luck in the weeks ahead. And no doubt we'll be chatting once you set up camp in Belfast. Thanks, David.
Cheers, Kieran. Thanks again.